And determine the eligibility of Friends of Crystal Beach to hold a lottery license in the town Fort Erie, and further, council hereby waive section 8.1, 8.4 of the gaming policy. Reports on the floor for questions or comments. Seeing none, Councilor Collar, Councilor Lubers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to go over the motion here is, I think what we're seeing here is just basically what I explained a couple weeks ago or last week. The council you're asking us to waive the appeal process. And Friends of Crystal Beach, when they were notified, they were told that there was an appeals process, and they opted to exercise that option, to file an appeal. They came to the town, they paid their $100 fee, the town accepted that fee, and I feel that the town of Fort Erie has the obligation to hear the appeal that they were told was there.
Councilor Steckley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are in receipt tonight under our addendum package with the letter from the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, the COO. The third paragraph in it says, according to your bylaw, it appears that the Corporation of Fort Erie has an appeal process in place for your municipal eligibility assessments in which a hearing is scheduled, and both parties have an opportunity to provide information in support of their respective positions. The AGCO does not have a similar process. That causes me concern. When this was brought up a couple weeks ago, it was said, let's find out, and we were told at the time that they would be able to hear an appeal from anyone coming forward. In this case, it would be the Friends of Crystal Beach. According to the letter, they would not be able to state their case and be heard as they would be able to under the town's bylaw. And part of the request is to waive sections 8.1 to 8.4 of the gaming policy. And they were not included in the package, and I was a little disappointed in that. I think if we're waiving sections of a bylaw, those sections that we're waiving should be included in there. I was able to access them online and make copies. And 8.3.3 of that says the appeals committee shall ensure that the applicant and the corporation have equal opportunity to present information at the hearing. And I think that's important. I think any time that somebody is accused of wrongdoing, they should have a chance to have their day in court, so to speak. By taking this on to the AGCO, we would remove that opportunity for them. I think in fairness to them or any other group that should fall under this, that we owe them that opportunity to be heard. And I think we should stay with the appeal process that is currently in place through the gaming policy that the town has enforced. So I'm opposed to sending this on to the AGCO.
Yes, actually, Councillor Steckley brought up a couple of points that I was going to bring up with respect to the AGCO letter that we received. Now, in there it does state that they don't have the ability or the eligibility to go forward with an appeals process. And yet, by virtue of the motion that's on the floor, is that we are going to be, I guess, circumventing that to some respect, in that we are going to take out the right to appeal and pushing that over to the AGCO, which have already stated they don't have the ability to appeal. They have the ability to determine eligibility, but they don't have the ability to appeal. So I'm concerned about that we're putting into a body that in reality they're saying to us that we have the ability by virtue of our bylaws to do that, and yet we're in some way taking that ability away. So I can't see myself being supportive of this motion either. We have a bylaws in place. We let that bylaw stand and move forward with that bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too cannot support this motion coming forward. And for me, the issue goes beyond the Friends of Crystal Beach or any individual in relation to this. We have a bylaw, 185-2000 amended, that says, and we have copies here, that the people who own licenses are entitled, should a decision come down, they have a right to appeal that decision. And I think that's what the Appeals Committee is set out to do, and that's what this Appeal Committee of Council will do. And it's not about Friends of Crystal Beach. It's about the 69 or so other license holders that were approved by council as being eligible, including the Friends of Crystal Beach. To me, it's about due process. We must make sure that we maintain their rights. And going to the AGCO, we can involve the AGCO. But as I said in the letter, and I read the letter and I just got it today, that they've deferred the appeal to the council, and I think that's what we should do. And like I said, to me, it's waiving these rules and these procedures is not the right way to go about it. And I think that I can't support this, and I would certainly think that we should go through with the appeals committee voted on by council. Thank you.
Just for clarification, there's in excess of 105 organizations that make this. Councilor Passero.
Thank you, Councilor Schuler. The second paragraph of the letter we received from the AGCO says, when requested, we will assist the municipality in conducting an eligibility review. In order to conduct an eligibility review, we require the information and documentation that is set out under Section 2.6.1A of the Registrar's Lottery Licensing Policy Manual. And when I look under 2.6.1A, evaluating the organization, it asks for a lot of information for the organization, everything from its copy of its letters patents, list of its board of directors, goes on and on there, latest report to the public guardian and trustee, and then it goes on to say a detailed description of its activities, a copy of its annual report. The organization must also provide any other information that will assist the licensing official to determine the charitable nature of its purposes, objects of activities. After the review has been completed, they may require additional information to process the application. The organization must provide any information that is requested. Am I just reading it differently, or are they not being given the opportunity to hand in any information they'd like to hand in as part of this review to state their case? I have no problem supporting this going on to the next level.
Before I go back, anyone else wish to speak? Your Worship?
Thank you much, and I agree with Councilor Passero. I think the challenge we have here is significant. I think the motions earlier were, the council recognizes the need for an impartial body. And I'll be blunt, I don't think anybody around this table is impartial. There have been some that have been, through the election, have shown bias either for or against certain projects that we've had that involve some of the I guess the concern that was led to the suspension of the license. And I think, with all due respect, yes, they'd like to be heard. They want to go and present their case, although the ACGO says that we don't have a mechanism to go and be heard. As Councilor Passero said, you have the availability to put everything forward. And they will make a decision on on whether or not the group meets the criteria that's set up by the province. It's not what the town sets out, it's what the province sets out. And they're the arbiters that will make the final decision on this, I believe. So my concern is that we're going to come back and appoint members of council, one way or the other, that are going to make a decision on this. And then what happens? If the Director of Gaming still feels that the application is in violation of the section of the Act, which is what the overriding governing body is other than the rules of procedure, it's the Act that clearly sets out what the rules and regulations are. And I know this really well because I had to go and I had to cut off about 20 bingo clubs back in the early 80s, which was not pleasant at all. But they didn't meet the criteria as set out by the province. That's the concern we have here, is that the act isn't whether we feel it's good or not, it's whether the province accepts it or not. So I think, in the fairness for everyone around this table and for the Friends of Crystal Beach as well, I think it should go to the ministry. They have the right, they don't have the right to appear before them, as clearly stated in the letter, but they certainly have the right to present their case to them and all the criteria that's necessary for them to either, for the ministry to either support or reject the application. So I think that's where this should be going, rather than coming back to it. And I'm concerned that we'll come back here, a decision will be made, and then we'll have to make another decision on this somehow. I don't see this being the end of it. So I would suggest that what we do is we send it off to the ministry directly and have them make a decision as a fair, impartial, without emotion, decision on the outcome of this.
Thank you, Richard. Let's go around the horn second time. Councillor Hill.
Yes, thank you. With respect to 2.61, as I was listening to Councillor Cristero read from the act, clearly in my mind anyway, that's gathering of